Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture we will go ahead and learn how to implement the delete functionality. So until now we have added the create item functionality and the update item functionality. Now we also need to go ahead and have a provision to delete an item. So let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, we will actually go into the urls.py file and set up a URL pattern to delete a particular item. So let's go ahead and add delete here, and now in order to add the path for delete, we type in path, and let's say for delete we name this thing as delete slash, and as usual, as you want to delete a particular item, you also need the ID of that item. So I'll just go ahead and pass in the ID here by typing in integer ID and then have a slash in here. Now we also need to create a view for that as well. So for now, let me just go ahead and just type in views.delete_item, and let's say the name of this particular URL is nothing but delete_item. Just give a comma and now you're good to go. And now let's go ahead and create this delete item view right there. So now let's go to the views.py file, which is this file right here, and let's create the view for delete. So I'll type in def delete_view, or let's say delete_item, as we have named that thing as item, and as usual this is going to accept a request. So I'll type in request comma ID, that is the ID of the item which is going to be deleted. So first of all, in this particular delete view, we actually want to get the ID of the item which we want to delete. So let's say we type in item, and we get that item by typing in item dot objects dot get, and we get the object whose ID is equal to this ID right here. So I'll type in ID equals ID. So this is the same thing which we have done in the update item view over here. And now we go ahead and check if the method is equal to post. So we type in if request dot method, that should be method, if that is equal to the post method, that means now we need to go ahead and delete the item. And deleting the item is actually quite simple. You just need to go ahead and type in item dot delete and you're good to go. So this delete method is automatically going to delete that specific item for you. Now once the item is deleted, we need to return back to a particular page. So we type in return redirect, so that we are redirected to a page which is nothing but food::index. And then finally what we do here is that once we go ahead and click the delete button, let's assume you want to send a user to a particular page which confirms that you want to delete an item. So for that, what we do is that we return and render a page here. So we type return render and then pass in a request as usual. Then we pass in a template over here, which is going to be a template which confirms if a particular item has to be deleted. So right now we don't have that template created, but still we are going to pass it first, and then we will go ahead and create that template. So I'll type in food, because that's going to be present in the food folder or the food app. So food slash, and let's say we name that template as item-delete.html. That should be dot. And now let's go ahead and also pass in the context over here as item, which is nothing but this item right here, because this page now needs to know which item has to be deleted. So I'll pass in item and item over here. Okay, so now once we are done with this, let's go ahead and create this particular page, which is item-delete.html. But even before we do that, what we now need to do is that we need to figure out how exactly can we go ahead and delete a particular item. And what exactly do I mean by that? So what I mean by that is that, let's say if you go to the website and if you click on the details, what we wish to do here is that we wish to have a button over here which is going to say something like delete. So whenever you go ahead and click that particular button, this particular item should be deleted. So now let's go ahead and implement that functionality. So in order to add delete button, to the detail page, we first need to go ahead and go into the detail.html page. So let's go to the detail page, and in here let's add a button. So right over here where we have the item name, description and price, let's also go ahead and add an href tag. So I'll type in ahref equals, and let's say this is going to be a link for now. So this is going to be delete. And now for the href over here, we just now need to go ahead and associate this URL, which is the URL for delete, right over there. So now let's hop back to the detail page, and the URL for that delete is nothing but, it's actually food. So we type in URL, which is in the food app, and the name of that URL is delete_item. So this is nothing but this name right here of that particular URL. Okay, so now once that is done, we are pretty much good to go. So now let's open up the app once again, and now let's hit refresh. And now if you go to detail of any one of these pages, I guess we do have some error over here, and it says no reverse match at food. Okay, so the issue is that we have actually passed in the URL right here, but along with this URL, you also need to pass in the ID of the item which is deleted. So we just need to go ahead and type in item.id. So now once we are done with that, let's again go back over here, hit refresh, and hopefully this time everything should work fine. So now when we click on details, as you can see, you have a delete button right here. Now if you click on this button, again you are going to have an error because we have not yet added the template which confirms if you want to delete that particular item. So let's go ahead and do that. So now let's go ahead and create a new template to confirm the deletion. So in templates, in the food app, we go ahead and create a new file which is called as item-delete.html. Now once you have this file, let's have some basic bunch of code in here. So first of all, we will go ahead and create a form here, and the method for this is going to be post. So the method is going to be post. And now once we have added the method over here, let's go ahead and add in some content in here. So first of all, we will add in the CSRF token in here, because we always need a CSRF token whenever we are creating forms in Django. So CSRF_token. And now here we just go ahead and add a heading, or we just display a message to alert the user that he's about to delete a particular item. So we type something like, are you sure you want to delete? And here we just add in the name of the item which we are deleting. Now in here, to get access to the name of the item, as you already know, we have passed an item as the context. So I can type in item.item_name. That's going to just go ahead and pull up the name of the item which we are about to delete. And then we simply go ahead and add in a button in here. So that's going to be button, and the type is going to be submit. And let's say it says confirm. Okay, so now let's go ahead, save the code and see if everything works fine. So now let's go back, let's hit refresh, let's go into details, let's go to delete. And again, we get an error over here which says local variable item referenced before assignment. So let's figure out where exactly this error is actually coming from. Now, whenever you get such kind of errors, and I'm sure if you're learning Django for the very first time, you're always bound to get such errors. So you always need to know how to read this particular error log. So right now, if we read this particular error log, you'll notice that we have an error in this particular file, which is views.py in line number 47. So let's go to views.py, let's go to line number 47. And here, as you can see, we have an error right over here, and that's because we have used item over here, and that should actually be item, the model, not this item right over here. So this item is nothing but the model which we have imported, and we need to make sure that we use that. Now once I go ahead, save the code, and now let's go back, hit refresh, click on details, click on delete. So as you can see, it says, are you sure you want to delete edited pizza? So when I click confirm, as you can see, that pizza is gone from here. Now let's say we also delete these two items over here. So let's go to details, let's click on delete, click on confirm. That item is gone. Let's also delete this one. So that item is gone as well, which means we have successfully implemented the delete functionality in Django. So that's it for this lecture, and now we have completed the basic CRUD operation in Django, that is create, read, update and delete, which means now you can basically go ahead and create any kind of application wherein you need to create, read, update and delete data from a database. But now one of the most important things, which is authentication, is remaining, that is which particular users should be able to log in, register into your website. So for example, let's say if you are creating a particular site, you need to make sure that when people or users are interacting with your website, you always need to make sure that you have their details like the email address, their username and the password, so that only authenticated users will be able to actually make modifications to your website. So that's it for this lecture, and from the next section onwards we are going to dive deeper into authentication. We will learn how exactly can you register a user or make him log in and log out into your website. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.